All right. I think we are live. Okay, folks. Can I close this? No. Don't worry about it. All right. This is going to be a little weird. If this stream looks weird to you, it's because it is weird to you. Because right now I'm literally, there's like 15 windows open on my computer. What I'm doing right now is because we couldn't get Zoom to stream to the group for whatever reason, wouldn't connect. So I am I'm in Zoom with Patti and I'm streaming from a different application. I just have it open and I'm streaming my desktop from a different application. So there's going to be like a weird delay. Sorry. I apologize. Things never work when you need them. But yes, we definitely wanted to be here. We wanted to make sure that we did this because I know there was a lot of interest on this live and we had a lot of people kind of asking about it. So if you don't know me, you should by now. I'm Daniel Barrett here from AdWordsSeries.com. And with me is my wonderful partner, as always, the brains behind the operation, and officially the only reason that anybody cares what we say about SEO. Patti Dalessio is the head of the SEO division at AdWordsandNurse.com. And we wanted to put this live stream together to talk about a whole bunch of recent changes that have been happening in Google. There's been quite a bit of activity kind of lately in the SEO community talking about things that are happening in Google. And there's actually was some controversy. And we just wanted to put together this live stream just to talk about the changes that are happening, what we're seeing with our SEO clients, investors kind of across the country, and basically tell you what you can do about it, what you can do to affect change inside your business, hopefully get more leads, get more deals, all that good stuff. So, Patti, how are you? How are you doing?
I'm all right.
You're all
I'm all
right.
right.
Well, sorry for my weird streaming thing. If you can imagine, like right now, my desktop is like one of those like infinite hall of mirror
Yeah,
things, where it's
can
like there's
see.
like 40 of you, and you're all moving different, patterns or whatever. But let's start with let's just kind of start at the beginning. So
Okay.
you could correct me if I'm wrong because you're going to primarily tell the story because you're certainly the expert here and you know a lot more about what is happening than I do. But it seems like this all happened or sort of started happening at least recently with a core algorithm change in Google. So can you talk a little bit about what do we mean when we say like a core algorithm change, and then let's get into like this specific one, and we can kind of take it from there.
Excellent. Yeah. So there was they stopped naming these core algorithm updates. They used to be named after animals and, penguin and hummingbird and all the rest. They kind of stopped with the fancy, cute names. Now they're really just by month. So this was the January core algorithm update. And they do kind of happen every couple of months. And the reason that we know this, as we're paying attention to the messages Google is sending out, is they will announce it, they'll confirm it. A lot of us will be keeping tabs on movements. There's a famous one that Moz does where they kind of report on changes within rank as a weather report. It's called the Moz cast, and we can see when things start moving around. We're like, I think that there's been a core algorithm update, and then Google will make the announcement. So over the past couple of years, the big ones, there was something called the MEDIC. This actually is one, and that was the August 2018 core algorithm update. And that really affected a lot of medical sites, health advice sites. Google really cracked down on some of that kind of sketchy, advice about vaccines and some things that were a bit controversial. So we know about that one. That was a lot of changes. Since then, there was one in March of 19, June of 19, September of 19, and then one just this month, just a couple weeks ago. We believe it happened on the 13th, and it really started rolling out, and then kind of ended about the 16th. It usually takes a couple days to fully propagate.
So can we back up for a second? So what is a core algorithm update? Like, what does that
Oh,
even mean? Because most people don't know what that means. So there's a lot of stuff there, but like, what is that? Like,
okay.
what is that, and then why that?
Okay. Well, so I mean, it's kind of the way it sounds, right? So there is an algorithm behind Google that, kind of determines how rankings happen, how search works, how their crawling and indexing and, what the rules are with Google. So that's kind of it. We don't really have insight into Google's algorithm. We don't really know. We think when it comes to ranking that there's about 200 factors that at least that Google is considering, and when it's figuring out which site is ranked above another one. So when you're on the first page of Google and they're in order 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we all want to be in the first position. What are those factors? And the algorithm is what determines those factors.
Okay. So is it safe to say that like the algorithm is basically like a giant formula with like 200 little parentheses in it or whatever. And when they change the core algorithm updates, what they do is they modify the formula. So like they switch this thing to a plus sign instead of a divide sign, and they put a minus over here, and they just change the rules a little bit. Is that safe to say?
Yeah. It's like the laws, it's again, yeah. What are the rules? What matters? What can we do to modify our website to rank, right?
Okay.
So when Google changes things, there's fluctuation in position.
All right. So they're putting out these kind of like big formula changes about once
Yep.
a month. Some are bigger than others, some are more dramatic than others. So we just
Yeah, I
had
would say
one. Yeah. So this last one that you said, it's about January that a lot of these changes that we're talking about right now have happened. So like what happened in January? What were the changes that Google kind of put in place?
so this felt along the same lines as the last couple. So remember I said there was one in June, there was one in September, they happened every several months, and then there was this one in January. So as those of us in the, SEO experts are kind of monitoring and going, okay, what happened now? And we're trying to interpret this, Dan, so we can say, okay, what do we need to do differently to help our clients perform better in search, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're all interpreting this and we're analyzing it and figuring it out. It turns out those health sites again have been hit a little bit, and they were we saw them lose positions, and then we saw some finance sites kind of increase and do a little bit better. But the drama really happened after that. So there was sort of a ripple effect as we're watching all the experts in the search community kind of analyze that. All of a sudden, some other interesting things started happening. And that's really what kind of, I think, more impacts our audience. And that is the changes to the featured snippets that happened at around the 22nd of this month. So just, what is it, 7 days ago. So
all right, so let's start at what is what. Okay, so we have big changes in featured snippets. So what is a featured snippet?
So a featured snippet categorically was sort of nicknamed position zero among those of us in SEO. So when the homepage or the search engine result page has really changed, especially if you can picture desktop changes over the last handful of years. It used to be just a bunch of little blue links.
Okay.
Now there's a lot more, right? We have the ads at the top and then the organic stuff in the middle. Now there's a lot of ways that Google is trying to present information so that you really kind of don't have to click. So if you typed in, how tall is the president, it would show that up there in the top. These are sort of these right. So
like if you say like how old was Abraham Lincoln when he died, it just tells you inside Google, it's like he was 30 or whatever it was. And you don't have to actually click on some kind of website to go find it out.
Yeah. So that's kind of like the knowledge graph, right? So it's kind of taking the answers to those, it even does it with the weather, right? Google knows where you are and it's telling you what the temperature is outside. There's a lot of that has changed the makeup of that first page of Google. What they've done now too is if you ask it a question. So for example, I don't think we can screen share today because everything's a little wonky. Is that right? Well,
you can screen share. I'm streaming whatever shows up on my desktop, and I have your.
I see. I see. You just have a camera. Well, I Googled prepare your house to sell. And what Google's done is it's promoted one of the answers to that it thinks is the best answer. And it was from hgtv.com. And it's like the 10 ways to prep your home to sale. prep your home for sale, right? And it's just kind of 1, 2, 3. And that's kind of an example of a featured snippet. That's called a list. So it's
Okay,
a
so
list.
Google's pulling information from this website, the HGTV
Yep.
website. It's just displaying it inside Google.
Yeah. Yeah.
And was this good? Like, did people want this? Like, because it seems like to me, it's like okay, cool. So here's the thing. I can see it on your screen right here. They're showing this
Mm-hmm.
information from hgtv.com. Is that
Mm-hmm.
did they want that to happen?
Yeah. So it's been really interesting. So over the last couple of years, we've all been vying for that position 0, because the makeup of that page was that you would be promoted and you're looking, you would look like the authoritative answer within the industry. It's a really good.
It's
It was thought
very,
of as being a good kind of brand
right. It's big. You got it. You got a picture there. It's a very eye catching.
Yeah. And we know from looking at this that there's more to that list, right? So what's 9 and 10? You would want to click that website to go to it to see what the other 2 items are, right? And this is just sort of one example. But before, to get that featured snippet, you would typically be in organic positions 1, 2, or 3. So right down here. So where it's I don't know if you can see. So these positions, you would be kind of at the top of search for that answer anyway. Google would just promote it so that it was visually more appealing. It would give some of that answer. There would be images. In Google's theory, it's trying to be helpful. It's trying to provide the best answer to the question in the search query and promote you there, right?
Okay.
So you got it?
Yep.
Cool. So the interesting thing that just happened on the 22nd is that Google is now what they're sort of calling is deduping or deduplicating links on the first page of Google. So where you would have HGTV here in this example, it would also most likely be first position. Well, now Google is saying, if we've chosen you and promoted you to the featured snippet position, we're taking away your organic listing. You won't show that same URL will not show again on the same page, the home page of Google.
Okay.
So
So it used to be that like if I was in HGTV and I wanted to rank for this keyword, I would use this feature snippet thing to try to get my website to show up twice. So I have
right,
once this big box on top and then it would be my link. But now are you saying that Google is if they have you in the box, you can't be the link and vice versa?
right, right.
Okay.
And and that impacts us in a couple ways. So in this example, the fact that it's also not down below, could be sort of considered a problem. If you and some people in the industry have actually surveyed searchers and said, okay, if here's your search and here's the makeup of your page, would you click here in the featured snippet or would you click down here? And it turns out there's a much lower click through rate on those featured snippets. And it sort of varies by industry, but typically, if Google's given you the answer and you don't need to click, then you don't need to click, right? So, like I Googled in a question, I got my answer. So if there were 2 more things on this list here, if it just gave you all the answers, you wouldn't need to click the 10 ways to prep your home for sale because you can maybe get your answer right there. The other thing is that there's sort of an assumption that that position may be less trustworthy, or maybe it's a paid position, or maybe it's less valuable or less trustworthy than the links down below.
So some people they don't click on it because they think this company paid to be there. In actuality, they didn't. You can't pay for this, right?
Right.
But
That's
people
exactly right.
assume because it's on top that they paid for it, and because they paid for it, they don't want to click
Yep.
on it. They want to click below that, maybe.
Yeah. And it's interesting because a lot of people in the SEO field were some of them one person asked in Facebook, hey, what would you click, right? And then she took that result and the quotes that just their small, not very statistically significant, but group of people actually commented on, and the rest of us were sort of like, wow, like we knew that the click-through rate was less, but we thought it was because either the answer was already presented or they saw it there and then they chose the link below it. And there is some data as to how it is considered, or exactly what the click-through rates are on the same thing, right? And that blue link, these organic things down below, the stuff down here, always got much better click-through rates. But now we're sort of questioning, for whatever reason, the industry is now asking people, well, why wouldn't you click on that? And the answers are kind of interesting. It's less trustworthy. They must have paid for it. Anybody can pay to be at the top, that kind of thing, which is a little bit weird. But what that has done, Dan, can we talk about how that's helped us?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you think about it, HGTV is no longer down here. So if Google has taken all their sites, all their searches, anywhere that there's a featured snippet, there's now extra room on the homepage. So everybody has kind of moved up a little bit, literally. So we're actually seeing that for our clients, for my SEO clients, where I can see their rankings. I can see on the map on the 22nd that they have actually gone up in rank.
So basically, if you were competing for a keyword, let's say you're an
Yes.
investor in a competitive market, you are competing for a keyword and your competitor they used to have one of these snippets there. So they took up a big chunk of that homepage, and then they had a link right below that. So they're basically on that page twice. Now what's happened is Google's removed the duplicate. So if they had the box, they no longer have the link. So that means there's one empty spot, and everyone's kind of shot up a little bit. And your assumption, or what your theory is that actually those boxes don't get a ton of clicks. So maybe it's actually even a little better that you don't have the snippet and instead you have the link below. Is that the idea?
Yeah. So what I've been seeing on Twitter, and this is where I really follow the conversation, I've got a whole lot of SEO experts that I follow. And the whole question is, do we start, de-optimizing? Do we start making changes? Do we start taking away some of these things that we've done to not be in that featured snippet now that we can be, because there's no longer what they're considering a position 0. Google is now calling that position 1 and so on. So it's even getting a little more confusing. But that's really the interesting question, is how do we sort of go from here, and do we want that position or don't we? We'll probably be hashing out that question over the next few months as there's more studying being done. I'm seeing reports now of data where people are trying to sort that out and what to do. And I think in some industries it makes sense to keep it, and you really want that, and others, there might be benefit to changing.
So if I'm an investor now, what do I take away from this? Like, what do I do differently, or what do I add in? Because I think it's important to say that, like, obviously it's like this impacts you if you're in the race for the first page results, right? So it's not really going to benefit you if you haven't been doing any SEO, you haven't been investing, time or effort or money or whatever in that channel at all. But let's say you want to start, or you want to start doing it, or you want to start doing something, you want to start changing something. What does an investor take away from this kind of shift in how Google's displaying results?
Well, so at this point, I don't know if I would advise anyone to do anything or take any action. I think we're still forming some thoughts and figuring this out. I think monitoring your key ranking, your keyword and your key phrase ranking will be helpful, so you can see how this has benefited you in terms of clicks and traffic and that sort of thing. I can show an example of someone who definitely has benefited from this algorithm change, and specifically this featured snippet change. But I don't know. I mean, I think I'll come back with an answer for this, I'm sure.
What is the chart that you're showing?
Yes. So this is a chart. This is a 30-day, or a monthly view of one of our well-performing, super well-performing clients in the Philadelphia area. And so the way to read this is I'm monitoring, I don't know, over 500 keywords. we do that for every client. And the way this is mapping is dark green is your first 3 positions of Google, 1, 2, 3 on the homepage.
Yeah.
Light green is the rest of the first page, positions 4 through 10, and then yellow and orange and red are kind of further down off the homepage. So if you look at this, kind of closely, you can see what happened here right at the 20-second mark, right? Right now, the algorithm update originally rolled out on the 13th. So if you look, kind of closely at the 13th, you'll see some red creeping in here. So at first there was kind of a little bit of a drop in ranking, and you can see how short this green is here compared to here. It kind of shortened up for a little bit, and then all of a sudden you can't help but think there became a lot of room on the home. Everyone kind of moved up a bit. So he lost all of his, all the page 3s went up to, moved up, all green. All green for all the
like
keywords.
the percentage of the line that's the dark green are like the top rankings. So his top rankings went up pretty significantly, and then right at the end there, the total number of rankings went up, and the number of rankings like 20 to 50 or whatever went down. So there was a pretty significant. First, there was a shift, and then there was an increase overall. So so this is a person that was already competing on the first page. They were already ranking well. That we were doing SEO work with them, so they were putting in work. And then when the shift happened, they got bumped up, and it looks like their overall number of rankings too went up. Right? Is that accurate to say?
Yeah. So they're ranking now for more keywords. So look at this. So because these all went up, there's now some keywords that weren't ranking. I suspect I can look a little closer, but it looks like now there's some, page 2.
Some kind of new stuff kind of popped in there. So okay. So let's think this through. So what we've kind of talked about a couple times. One of the sort of unifying concepts there is you were talking about click-through rate, right? Which is the percentage of people that click on your site after they see it on the page, right? So they do a search, they see all these sites. What percentage of people, chose you, clicked on you? So it seems like, you correct me if I'm wrong, it seems like the lesson to pull from this is like, it's not that, oh, I got the featured snippet or snipper. I always say snipper. I got the featured snippet, or, oh, I'm in number 1, or, oh, I'm number 2. What really matters is how many people are clicking. Like, what percentage of all the people are searching or clicking me? So like, how do I know that? Like, how do I know if I'm doing bad or good, or how can I improve that?
So here's a statistic. This is from a site. I'm not so sure. I thought it was interesting. I'm not. Okay, so they're commenting on the 2020 update, but this is, I thought, interesting data. So before there was a featured snippet, usually the very first position of Google had a 26% click-through rate. Now this is not ads. This is organic position, right? Had a 26% click-through rate on average for any kind of search. When featured snippets started showing up, that featured snippet, they're guessing, was taking about 8.6% of those clicks, with almost 20 going to that first position, right? So the first position may have dropped a little bit. But imagine now if this featured snippet is now somebody else. It made a lot of sense if you were in both those positions. Then in theory, you were still getting a 26% click-through rate, either on position 0 or position 1, right? But now if that other one is gone, your click-through rate has gone from 20% to 9,
Yeah, so you're losing a significant chunk. So again, it's almost like we almost don't care where we are. What we want to watch is the percentage of people that are clicking on us. Right?
Okay. For sure. So, having said all this, there was another weird little, I don't know if we can talk about the favicon update that also rolled out within this time frame. And again,
I think I would love to cover that, but I think that ended up getting rolled back, and I'm just thinking time wise. So let's get to takeaways that people can do. So we've said this multiple times that like click-through rate is the thing that you want to watch. How do people actually do that? Like right now, the people that are watching this live, if they want to know what their click-through rate is in Google, or it's not like ads where they just tell you, how do I learn that? How do I track it? How do I figure that out?
Well, the good news is I would look to a free tool that Google provides called Google Search Console.
Okay.
Um, it's a little too much in depth to tell people how to set that up now, but essentially, akin with Google Analytics, there's another free tool that you would use to view how your site is showing up in search, and it gives you things like impressions and click through rates. For pages, keywords, it tells you what the organic keywords are that you're showing for, what the impressions are, how many people have clicked it, that kind of thing. So you can monitor that there. Certainly important thing to do,
Hmm.
and it's free,
Okay.
right?
So you
You don't
want
have
to,
to.
so okay, so you can go into literally what I would tell people to do is like go to Google Search Console. You'll find
Yeah,
it's the first thing. They'll walk you through setting it up. The other
yeah.
thing I would definitely say is like, so if you are one, I would say to people like definitely do something so that you know you have some sense of how many people are clicking you, because that's really more
Mhm.
valuable than we're all used to saying I want to be number one, but like we're saying here, like literally this situation is you're showing up as
Mhm.
the very first thing, and you can
Right.
actually get less clicks than the person below you, right? So
Yeah.
what we really want is leads, and what we need for leads is clicks, and so that's what we want to watch. I would also say like if you are wondering like either what's happened to your site after the changes, or you are not yet working on this, I would definitely sign up for a strategy session. So like the way that I would put this is in order for us to figure out how to change what you're doing, we really need to understand what's going on in your market, where you're at now, and what you're trying to achieve. And that's literally what the strategy sessions that we do are all about. So
Mhm.
you can get there. You can go to adwordsnerds.com/strategy. I'll put a link in the comments here, adwordsnerds.com/strategy. You can literally just talk to our team for free, and we'll help you work through like if this is even something you need to worry about. Because I will say like if SEO is a primary channel for you, and I think it should be, um, this is something you need to have on your radar. If you're not doing any SEO and you're never going to do SEO, and SEO is a terrible fit for you, you probably don't need to think about it, but you should really talk to someone to figure out if that's the case.
Mhm.
So again, adwordsnerds.com/strategy, I would go there, grab a strategy session. I mean, is there anything else besides tracking in Google Search Console? Is it just they should keep an eye on it and like and kind of like watch the group? Like what should someone take away from this in terms of like things they can really do? It's like track your click through rate, get a strategy session with us. Anything else that's like a major takeaway?
I don't have any evidence that the core update that real estate was negatively impacted. Which is kind of so. Generally speaking, this could be good news for our industry, which is good because we could use some good news.
Yeah.
Facebook.
Like
So
in a way, this is kind of like you could view it as a potential knock to companies like Open Door and Zillow and stuff who have
right.
been eating a lot of the organic results. So in a way, it's good for smaller investors, possibly.
Yeah, I would take a peek. I mean, at this point, we're just monitoring. I don't to answer your question. I don't think there's anything to do. I don't have a specific blanket recommendation for everyone. I would keep an eye on your blogs. If you blog and you have a lot of content out there, you may see an interesting boost in those areas for those what they call those long tail, because that could have been specifically where there were featured snippets before, and now there's more room to actually compete. I mean, it feels good that Google is deduping the homepage. We don't want to see the same answer, to the question. We want to see some variety in there. So this could generally be a good thing. It could make a lot of sense. But again, that click-through rate issue with that used to be position 0 featured snippet is a kind of a problem.
All right, so
So yeah.
really interesting kind of thing to be happening right now. So I would definitely say if you're out there and you're watching this, right? One, just make sure you know how much traffic your site was getting and how much it's getting now. If you can, like install something, watch your click through rate on Google Search
Mhm.
Console. Two, definitely get a strategy session with the team. This is something you are not investing in now. Like we were saying before, the people that were doing the work, they're benefiting from this right now.
Yeah.
If you're not there, you're not really benefiting. So if you're thinking about that as a channel, just take a call with our team. It's totally free, AdWordsNerds.com/strategy will walk you through figuring out if that's what you want to do. And then, yeah, kind of like watch this space, because I think a lot of this stuff is in flux. It's always in flux, but it's in kind of a special kind of flux. And Patti and I will, we'll be back. If things are changing, we'll be back in REI Marketing Nerds or in the group to let you know, because that's what we do. And yeah, Patti, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you and always doing this for us. I will say, you guys, like, to everybody watching this, Patti really has her pulse on like what the highest possible people in the SEO industry are working on, thinking about, and saying. So she is my go-to for anytime something happens. Patti's the one that I ask, and that's why she's the head of our SEO team, and she works with all our clients. So I just want to really thank you, Patti, for taking the time and talking to the group and everything. We really appreciate it.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you,
Cool.
my friend.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Sorry for the stream problems in the beginning. Hopefully, you guys were able to watch this all right. And I will talk to all of you guys very soon. Cheers, everybody.
Okay.
AdWordsNerds.com/strategy. Bye-bye.